Hi everyone, and welcome to the last werewolf horror movie review of the month. And today I have my good friend David with me, so I will of course let him speak his mind first. Over to you, David.
Hi everyone and welcome back to one of Sarah of Horror's videos. Today and this month, as you know, we're talking about werewolf theme and I really like werewolf movies. Today we're gonna talk a little bit about Late Phases, also known as Night of the Wolf. This movie is directed by the Spanish-born director Adrian Garcia Bogliano from movies such as Here Comes the Devil. It's written by Eric Stoltz, writer of movies like The Stylist, and it stars one of my favorite horror actors, Nick D'Amici. Years and years ago I was on this festival in Montreal, a fantastic international film festival, and I watched this really cool vampire zombie hybrid movie called Stakeland. And after watch that I have been following Nick D'Amici in his horror movies. He's not only an actor, as you know, he's also a writer, and he's been written horror movies with Jim Mickle. Stakeland, We Are What We Are, the American remake, and the really cool thriller movie called In July, which a friend told me about. And this movie, Late Phases, was also a friend who told me about it. And the story is really cool. It's a military veteran who is getting old and he's blind, so he's moving into a retirement home, and some strange things are happening. And on the first night it's a full moon, and as you can guess, it's a werewolf attack. And it's really cool setting and idea, because you as the viewer, you can see the werewolf, you can see what's happening, but the character, this old man, he doesn't see what happens. So that's a really cool idea. And I also like it's instead of young people or like adults, it's like an old grumpy man. He has a bad relationship with his neighbor, he has a bad relationship with his son. So it's just not only a werewolf movie, it's also a movie about getting old and isolated and being left alone in a world you don't understand anymore. And so it's Nick D'Amici. It's also starring Tom Noonan from Manhunter, Ethan Embry from The Devil's Candy. And I know it's not a werewolf movie, but I could highly recommend The Devil's Candy if you haven't watched it. So the main character, he moves into his retirement home. His dog dies in the first night on the werewolf attack, and he understands that something isn't adding up. So he's like preparing. He's getting ready for the next full moon. His neighbors think he's crazy. He meets a priest, he goes to a church group, and they think he's crazy. And it's really fun because you know what's happened. He doesn't really, because he hasn't seen a werewolf. But it's a good movie. It's not that much as a traditional werewolf movie. It's a lot of dialogue. It's a lot of this character, talking to people about what's going on, his neighbors, his son. And the werewolves are all in suit, characters in suit with special effects on screen. So that's really cool on this edition from let's see, Utah Film. There's like a video diary where you can see them trying on the suits and effects, and it's really cool. The werewolf is looking a bit different. They look a little bit goofy and silly. They're doing like thing with the ears and the eyes, but I think it's fun, to try new things with this movie. It's also, when the werewolf thing kicks at the end of the movie, it's really gory. So you're going for this like drama movie, more or less. You could recut it as a trailer for a drama movie about this man, getting into retirement home and getting isolated and alone and losing his dog. And then it just kicks in, it's like full-on action, werewolf, gory, bloody mayhem, and it's really cool. Also, it's really cool werewolf transformation effect, so it's worth just to watch it for that reason. And this movie, it has a 6 on IMDb. I think maybe people wanted something else, more werewolf action. It's just a little bit in the beginning and the end, but I think it's a really cool movie. I think it's a really cool design of the werewolf. I think the gore and the violence and effects are really cool. I think it's a good idea to have this character and front of center, blind man chasing werewolf. You know, I told he's a military vet, so he has guns, and it's just a very interesting way to tell a new story on an old concept. So I'll give this let's give it an 8. I was thinking a 7, but now I'm giving this a solid 8. It's good fun. It's a great movie. I could highly recommend it if you haven't watched it. It's good all around. And you know, werewolves are always fun. So Late Faces, also known as Night of the Wolf. Good movie. It's Eric Stoltz who's written it. It's Adrian Garcia Bugliano who directed it. And you know, Nick D'Amici is a favorite. Watch his other movies as well. And thank you so much, Sarah, for having me. This has been fun.
Thank you so much, David, for your wonderful analysis of Late Phases. Yes. So, Late Phases, as David said, directed by Adrian Garcia Bugliano, written by Eric Stolze, and starring Nick D'Amici, Ethan Embry, Lance Guest, Aaron Cummings, Britannia Alda, and Tom Noonan. And I do agree with what David said, and also Nick D'Amici, who plays Ambrose McKinley, the main character, I think he really carries this movie. He is so comfortable and so good at playing his character that even though there's a lot of dialogue and not as much werewolf action, so to speak, it's still so interesting because he makes it interesting. He is a character with a lot of layers, even though he might not want to show everything or show all the emotional range. You can still see that there are a lot of things that this character is struggling with internally, that he's trying to get out, but he's just set in his ways. And there's a amazing shot where someone is being transforming into a werewolf, and like the camera kind of pans over, and then we see this character rip his own face and head off, and out comes this werewolf. And that shot is so amazingly well done. And I do like this gore in this movie. It's very creative. And also, even though Ambrose is blind, he doesn't see what's going on, but he hears things. He kind of measures things, you know, steps from his house. He kind of sets up traps anyway. And it is really interesting how he sets up everything for this major attack while being blind. And it is also one of the things that makes him a very interesting character to follow. Plus, all of this relationship drama between him and his son, him and the neighbors, is very interesting to follow as well, because he kind of gets more and more isolated and more vulnerable for the werewolves, so to speak. And then this movie just ends with a, yeah, real bang, and I think it's a really great ending that kind of sits with you for a while. So here is my edition of it. It's actually signed by Adrian Garcia Bugliano, because me and Jasmine met him when he was at the Monsters Film Festival, and we actually interviewed him over our channel, Bitches of Horror. And maybe you can see, yeah, here is the signed copy. So I'm super happy. It's a one disc, but the disc is still in the Blu-ray player. And this is from Muta Films. Let's see. There, extra materials. The Kurtzman Studio Werewolf Diaries, the beginning phases of Late Phases, and trailer and slideshow and trailer show. So there's some extra material that I will definitely sink my teeth into. But yeah, I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10. Really good, really solid werewolf movie with a different kind of concept, which I really appreciate. So yeah, that was the last werewolf movie that I will be reviewing this month. But tomorrow is a new month with a new theme. So thank you for watching, and thank you so much, David, for participating in this review. So if you've seen this movie, please let me know in the comments below your thoughts about it. And as always, have an amazing day, everyone.